Okay, so the first question is, what is your name?
My name is Guy Gioeli.
Okay, and what country are you from?
My heritage is Italian.
Okay, and your parents are from Italy, right?
Yes, they are.
Are they from, what region of Italy are they
They're
from?
from Sicily.
Okay, and do you know the reasons why they decided to come to the United States?
For a better life. When they were in Italy, things were tough, so they came here.
Okay, do they consider other countries, or?
No, my father came here because his father was already here.
Okay, so you had family here.
Mm-hmm.
And did they leave any family behind, or everyone came over?
My mother's whole family was still there, and whoever's still alive is still there.
Okay, and when they came over at first, do you know where they came to? New York City, Brooklyn?
They moved to Brooklyn.
Okay, and then did they move into a mostly Italian neighborhood?
Yeah, it was the west end of Brooklyn, so it was mostly Italian, Irish. It was an immigrant community.
Okay, and did America meet their expectations?
Oh yeah. My father actually went into business for himself. He provided us with a great life. Yeah.
All right, and as the years passed, did they continue to live in communities that were Italian?
No. They moved on. They migrated into better neighborhoods naturally. As they made more money, they moved into better neighborhoods.
Okay, so eventually they moved to Staten Island, or?
No, actually, we moved to Staten Island first. My parents ended up coming here about 4 or 5 years after me and my wife moved here.
Okay, and what has your experience been with the Italian community?
They're a close-knit community, very organized when it comes to business, but they've mixed in very well with the American community. So a lot of Italian men and women became professionals with their corporations and companies. They didn't stay into that little ethnic group like the newer immigrants that are here now.
Okay, do you live in an Italian community, or
No.
you're in a?
No, we're in a very mixed community.
Okay, and are you part of any Italian groups like the Sons of Italy, or?
I was for a time period, and now I'm no longer part of it.
Do you find those kind of groups, or do you see them as beneficial to keeping your?
They're helpful to keep the heritage going. They're also very helpful for networking within business. You meet a lot of people from different backgrounds, same background but different occupations. So it does help.
Okay, and when your parents came to America, did they keep as much of the culture as possible, or all of the culture?
We spoke Italian in our household, and we still speak Italian with my parents. Language is very important. The holidays are very traditional. We keep the holidays traditional. I guess the way we think as a family and act as a family is still very traditional.
Okay, and do you continue your parents' Italian traditions with your own children?
Mm-hmm. My children were brought up the same way I was, and my wife's family was also, yes.
Is she also Italian?
Yes, she is. So
do you feel there's a significant Italian community on Staten Island?
Oh, yeah.
How do you maintain the traditions and practices of your culture?
We continue to do the same thing that my parents did, so we keep the same holiday traditions. I try and teach the kids the same thing as far as our morals and our ways of growing up. We cook Italian. We try and do everything as much as we can as far as the Italian culture. My children play soccer. They watch Italian soccer all the time. So yeah, we try and maintain the traditions. But you do lose a little bit between generations. They were first generation coming over. Actually, I'm sorry, they were immigrants coming in, so I'm first generation. I'm sure what they carry on is going to be very different than what I carried on. And as you assimilate to the population, you're going to lose a little bit of it as you keep going.
Is there anything specific that you think is being lost through the generations?
The language, because other than within the family household, you don't really speak Italian in the community. For example, Spanish is more common, Russian is more common. So those languages are spoken outside of the family, and they are spoken in our communities. Even the signage when you walk into a subway or a bus station, it's English and Spanish. Sometimes, depending on the Brooklyn community, you'll find English and Russian, but you don't see a lot of Italian, so it's being lost.
Do you think it's because there isn't I guess, condensed a group of Italians?
I think it's just that the migration has changed. You don't have the same numbers of Italians coming in as you do of, let's say, Spanish-speaking or Russian-speaking or even Asian-speaking communities. They're more the newer wave of immigration. So for them to be able to assimilate, they need that dual language. Whereas most of the Italian community now speaks English. And the numbers of immigrants coming from Italy is a lot less.
Okay. So part of our seminar source studies, we had to look into ethnic stages. So for the Italians, we went to an Italian restaurant. We went to the Portobello Cafe.
Oh, yes.
Do you, like from your experience with Italian restaurants, do you think they properly portray Italian food, or do you think they've Americanized?
He's Americanized. I know the owner of the restaurant, and he's like me, first generation over. First generation born here. So, yeah, I think it gives it a little bit of an American twist. So he's not, for example, like my father, who owns a restaurant also, but came from the other side. So he's more traditional as compared to if I were to open up a restaurant, because I would probably Americanize more than my father would.
So do you have an Italian restaurant that you like to go to, or you think has very authentic, traditional Italian food? Or you just tend to have it at your home?
We just tend to spread it out and go to different restaurants. No, we don't have a favorite.
We found during our research that one of the more Italian-populated zip codes is 10314.
Okay.
So which zip code?
10312.
10312, which I think is also a large Italian zip code.
Yeah.
So I guess to finish up, how do you define the term Italian-American, and do you see yourself as an Italian-American?
Well, yeah, your heritage is Italian. When you're born here, you are an American-born individual. I don't think Italian-American has to do with citizenship, as it did in the past. If you're an Italian citizen and you came over and became American, because you were born there, they called you Italian-American. But the connotation is different now because we're of Italian heritage, but we are Americans because we're born here. So that's pretty much changed. So do I consider myself an Italian-American? Yeah. Because my heritage is Italian, but not because I'm an Italian immigrant.